And we're back for round 2. I don't like having things that require double black and not having swamps. So I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this. 1 land is not enough. I'd have to get running lands for this to be okay. It's not great, but I don't want to go for. We're on the draw, which helps a bit. We're more likely to draw a swamp, although instead we'll draw the thing that requires 2 swamps. That is unfortunate. This is when we would want the Orzhov Guild Gates, but I still prefer them for splashing. Zorichi Tiger could help get us back into the game by slowly gaining us life later. Well, at least we have lots of plains. If I draw a swamp, Alm's Beast will be very good. Because Alm's Beast is normally very good. Oh, my opponent is actually playing Sky Games. That's kind of cool. What just happened? Oh, my opponent cast Urban Evolution. I somehow missed that. I'm probably just lost this game from not drawing anything. Maybe I should have kept that earlier hand, but it looked about like this, and if I'm not drawing plains, or if I'm not drawing swamps now, how would I know I would have been? Oh, so much for that. Okay, my opponent is green-blue. This is going to be an uphill battle. My opponent is pretty aggressive, so again, I probably don't want Undersea Plague. Cutter Skill can trade with some lobies. I think I'm gonna... There are enough green-blue creatures that can block 2/2s easily, like the 1/3 reach evolve creature. I think I'm gonna go with Purge the Profane this time. Put my slight preference there. Alright, now I actually have some creatures I can play. This is awesome. Again, I'll show my opponent the same land he's seen before, not that it really matters. There we go, now I can play my rogues. My rogues, my opponent's going to have a hard time answering. Green-blue tends not to have a lot of removal or rogues. That said, I think my Extort Flyer is better because flyers are kind of unblockable by most of what we've seen so far. Now we will be able to start extorting. And my opponent is stuck on 2 lands. I know the feeling, buddy. Alright, gonna go ahead and get in there. Alright, I think I will play a Dutiful Thrall over extorting. I would be happy to trade that with a Greenside Watcher, which is really the reason I'm doing it. There's a chance I would be able to attack with it next turn otherwise, but, and, you know, that's reasonable. But mostly I just want to hold back his Greenside Watcher, even though I don't have mana to regenerate. My opponent could have green-blue, Simic Charm. I'm willing to trade a stomach turn for a dutiful throw. Alright, it's fine. I'm perfectly content to gain Death Cult Rogues in exchange for him gaining Green Side Watchers. Oh, I forgot that I had 2 extorts and canceled one. That was a misclick. Yeah, obviously I wanted to extort twice there. If I was going to leave something up, I should have at least left up white so it looked like I had that smite. But instead, I will mess up and do 7 damage next turn. That's not the worst. Yeah, this game kind of went against my opponent in the same way that the first one went against me, that sometimes you just really have no chance. That's part of why I play Go, is just to have a game with perfect information so that, like, even if you're playing with against someone that you just will never be able to beat, it doesn't always feel that way. Alright, this is not terrible. This is fine. It's not great, especially against a deck that seems like it wants to be very, very aggressive, but it's really fine. I would trade a Gutter Skulk for a Wasteland Viper, but I'll probably have a better thing to target, since Wasteland Viper will never do that much damage. There we go. I'd rather trade it for 2/2. The Orzhov Charm, I'd rather wait. You never know when you'll need it. It's often better to develop your board than to play removal when your board is small. The exceptions are like if you have a Wrath of God in hand and you want to kill all the creatures. You obviously don't want to play into that, so you might pretend you don't have any. Okay, if my opponent's only attacking with that, will I be okay with that? Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll just let him be. I'll probably play Kingpin's Pet next turn because it's unblockable and extorts. Alright. So my opponent decided to attack with both. I will go ahead and trade here if my opponent lets me. If not, I'll get rid of a trick. Alright, that's fine. My opponent does have a very aggressive deck, but I'm still just taking like 8 damage a turn. Gonna take more this time, but that's fine. Having extort is very good against 1 and 2 drops, because it can kind of raise them. My opponent's down to 3 cards in hand. That's nice. Alright, that's a good card, but isn't necessarily enough yet. I could Orzhov Charm when I need to, but I'd rather get the actually, I could Basilicus Creature and then Orzhov Charm. How do I feel about that? Yeah, I think I'll place Creature and leave Orzhov Charm up. I like getting extras. Extort out early. Plus, I like being able to prevent the Denizen from getting absurd. MAK. Those are probably initials, but maybe the person's just named Mac. Alright, I'm going to be killing the Ivy Lane Denizen, so it doesn't matter if I do it now or later. So I'll wait until the end step. Gets me a little lower on life than I'd like, but that's what all this extorts for, right? Yeah. Balustrade Spy will do a good job of holding off Disciple. My opponent could play a pump spell on his Denizen or something. But if you had a pump spell, it would probably be Simic Charm, which could just make it hexproof. The only pump charm otherwise would be the +1/+1 which would be awfully minor. The pump would just increase how much damage it would take, by the way. Yes, when you say always yield, it doesn't always the first time, but it will after that. Alright, what does our opponent have? I guess it shows you. Okay, just a forest. Sadly, we didn't mill their whole deck, but would have been a bit unlikely. Right, I'm not going to trade my 2/3 for a 1/2 Death Touch. Right. Mind's Eye Drake. My 2/3 is still good here. Unfortunately, all of my flyers no longer have evasion so much, at least not past that, but I do get to extort some, and I do get to play a creature that does have evasion. Okay, if my opponent attacked with everything, I'd block the Disciple. Otherwise, I would block the Mind's Eye Drake with the Spy. As it is, it's kind of a standoff. We can't attack each other with our big flying creature because then our opponent would get through with more damage. Right, so I've got my 2/2 racing his 1/2 right now. Double check that none of his creatures are rogues. Good, good. I will play a Plains just in case I need to extort a lot, but I probably don't need to extort enough to play any more lanes out from here on. My opponent may just have lanes in hand. My opponent has 3 cards in hand, which I was going to say probably has something to play. Okay, so I've got my Spy that can block his Rogue. Okay, if I killed the Drake, what would happen? I could get in for 2 or 5. His Rogue could block my Rogue. Then my opponent could get in for, what, 3? That sounds good for me. Alternatively, I kill his Rogue and just keep getting in with mine. If my opponent has Simic Charm in hand, it would be bad, but my opponent would have probably played Simic Charm by now, if that were the case. I'm going to go ahead and... Okay. If my opponent did have Simic Charm, then it would be hexproof. So the only pump I need to worry about is +1/+1. So I need to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Okay, you have to pick the color mana. And this gives me extorts, which means it's better than a... okay, better than 5 damage. Okay, is it worth holding back things to block? What could my opponent have? My opponent, there aren't really many haste things in these colors. My opponent could have Hands of Binding or a green Blood Rush creature, like the Slaughterhorn. If I attack with 3, I've got 5 in the air next turn. That lets me save back Spy so I can block his Rogue or his Disciple with my Spy. I like the sound of that. So I'm going to play around... I'll play this way. Save back 2 blockers. Maybe 2 defensive, but unless he does something very specific, it will not affect my clock. I think it's more likely my opponent will, or more likely that I will need to block 2 things than that my opponent will like kill one of my creatures so I don't have lethal anymore, and then somehow come back also. That is, I'm playing against what I think is most likely. What did he know? Guardian, something. So yeah, this game looks good for me. It was unfortunate that the first 2 games were both decided by almost a coin toss, but so it goes. Oh, that's a good play. Alright, totally lost in the concede. That works. Speaking of coin tosses, last night I was playing a draft. Like I said, I was playing green-red. My opponent played the blue-black vampire. The Seer, that at the start of its controller's turn, both players flip over their top card. They both take damage equal to their card's casting cost and then put it in their hand. I was way behind. My opponent had me to 2. When he played that, I didn't have anything that could block it in the air, so I was basically dead, because it's a 4/4 flyer. Unless he drew something that killed him. He was at 10, I pulled out all the stops, somehow got an 8 damage, so we were both at 2. And then his creature ability triggers at the start of his turn, and he draws a lane, and I draw a 5-drop. So I didn't quite get there, but it was actually a pretty sweet way to see the game end, even though I lost. Alright, I'll be back for round 3. This will be the finals, maybe we can win it.